Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and today's video is titled Spectrum Business Internet Review 2020. Again, I'm going to do an in-depth review of Spectrum Business for your internet needs for 2020. Now, I just want to say in 2019, we sold a lot of contracts for Spectrum Business for a lot of different types of businesses. Everything from insurance companies to financial institutions to construction companies and contractors to even people in the consulting services and things like that. So I think after this year, after having so many people call us looking for Spectrum directly for phone and or internet, and also having people just call us up and say, hey, I'm starting this new business or I'm moving into this new office. I don't really know what's available in my area. Can you do a check? And finding out that Spectrum is in their area, we've had a lot of success with them, and a lot of clients have been happy with what they've offered. So that being said, let's just dive right in, and I'm going to talk to you guys about, what our opinions are of them, how their process is, what to expect not only during installation and implementation, but also price-wise and long-term if you decide to keep their service, what you can expect, good and bad, with Spectrum Business. So, anywho, honestly, we personally like Spectrum Business. Typically when people contact us, and of course it depends on the region. I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia, and I can honestly tell you that Spectrum Business doesn't exist where I'm from. But typically when we get people that call us in some parts of the East Coast, Midwest, and especially on the West Coast, Spectrum Business tends to rule the roost in comparison to some of your companies like Comcast or Verizon, who tend to be more East Coast. So pricing with Spectrum Business typically goes something like this. And this does differ by area. So if you're watching this and you really want to know exact pricing, stop what you're doing or pause the video, message me or call me, let me run your address, and I can tell you exactly within less than 24 hours. It's usually within less than 5 to 6 hours if it's during the business day. I can tell you exactly whether Spectrum is available at your location or not, and exactly what it will cost for the different packages for you. But typically, what Spectrum runs is about like this. For broadband, it is typically 10 for 100 megabyte over 10 megabytes, 100, so that'd be 100 megabyte download over 10 megabyte upload. It typically runs about $69.95 per month before taxes. For 500 megabytes download over 20 megabytes upload, it typically will run approximately $99 a month before taxes. For 1 gigabit download broadband over 30 megabyte upload broadband, it will typically run you about $250 per month. And then anything after that would be fiber. Unless you can't get broadband in the area that you're trying to get, I don't recommend fiber unless broadband is just not available where you're at, because their broadband packages typically go something like 50 megabytes over 50 megabytes over 5 megabytes for maybe $350, $400, and maybe 100 megabyte fiber over 20 megabyte fiber for like $500 a month or something like that before taxes. So for the purposes of this video, it's safe to say that 98.5% of all people that contact me that are interested in Spectrum Business for their internet, or we determine that Spectrum is the best option in their area for their internet, we don't look at fiber. We just go straight for broadband because you can't beat the prices. Even in comparison to companies like Comcast, and Cox Communications, Spectrum prices usually come in really nice. To sweeten, before we get into the cool thing, there is a catch, but there's also a silver lining. The way that Spectrum Business's pricing is usually laid out is, and they're not gimmicky about it, they show this in the quote that I send people that look for Spectrum all the time, is the prices that I gave you earlier, which was 100 megabyte for approximately $69.95, 500 megabyte for approximately $99, and 1 gigabyte for business for approximately $250 a month. That is what they charge for the first 12 months. And then on the 13th month, your price goes up after that. That varies depending on your area and depending on the quote I get you, but I can tell you from experience, that price will usually go up on the 13th month, about $18 to $20 per month variation. So some people will see that and say, oh, that's a gimmick. No, it's not. What Spectrum is typically doing is the price that they are quoting you on your contract, and they show exactly what it'll be on the 13th month after 12 months. They're giving you a break on their regular price for the first 12 months. It's basically a 1-year promotion to get you on the service and giving you a discount. And then on month 13, you start paying the regular price. Now, I said there was a silver lining, and there is. With Spectrum Business, and it's one of the reasons we like them and our customers love them, there is no contract with them. Now, on their fiber circuits, there may be, but we hardly ever sell fiber because everybody is always typically able to get broadband internet if Spectrum is at their location. There's no contract, no 1 year signing a contract, no nothing. Typically, the only thing that they require that we have the client sign when we work with somebody on Spectrum Business is just an authorization form that basically says you allow a Spectrum Business tech to be able to come out and do a site survey at your location to qualify that their service, and you allow them access to certain informations of yours that they may or may not see in your building or when dealing with you to be able to get service installed, like your business license and things like that to make sure that you're a legit business and you're not, doing things under the table or whatever it may be. So that's it. There's no such thing as signing a contract with these guys unless you wanted to, but every deal that I've ever worked with Spectrum Business, which is dozens of them, has always been on a month-to-month agreement. So no lock-in, which is a big plus for us and a big plus for you, the client, who may want to move to another location and you may have to get another carrier, or you just don't like being locked into a contract. Initial lead time that you can expect with Spectrum Business for installation is their broadband services is fast. At the time of this video, I literally just did 3 Spectrum Business broadband installs for 3 other customers in the last, 25 days. All of those installations that I know of, they were installed within less than 7 calendar days, not business days, less than 7 calendar days. So typically when you talk to Spectrum Business, and even on the paperwork that you'll see when I work with you to get Spectrum Business, it'll say something like allow approximately 1 to 2 weeks for installation. But I can tell you from working with them, you're usually looking at about 3 to 7 calendar days from the time that you sign the authorization form and they qualify that you have service till the time that your service is in and active and you can use it and your router is installed and the tech is come and gone from your site. Very fast installation. The last 3 installs I just did recently, they all said, when I called them up to say, hey, did everything go okay? Do I need to call Spectrum on your behalf? Was there any problems? I'm just checking in. Oh no, the technician was extremely professional. They were in and out in less than an hour. Everything was installed. Thank you so much, Prince, and thanks for recommending Spectrum. So we, at the time of this video, have had no issues with them from the customer service standpoint. Let's see here. Fiber installations are another story because sometimes fiber requires construction. It requires Spectrum Business to get permits from your city, county, or state to be able to do whatever they need to do, which might involve trenchers, it might involve construction workers, it might involve having to run a wire under an actual street or something like that, or near utility lines. So if you're interested in Spectrum Fiber, you need to think in your head about 30 to 60 days, and in some cases as high as 70 to 90 days for installation and implementation. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh my God, that's a really long time. Maybe I'll get fiber from AT&T or from somebody else. I'm going to tell you right now, all of the companies that sell fiber, Comcast, Spectrum, Cox, AT&T, Verizon, the list goes on and on and on. You're looking at about a 60 to 90 day lead time. Typically, I want to say it's about 45 to 70. Depends on your area, depends on their workload, depends on how well I can negotiate on your behalf and keep pushing them and saying, hey, these guys need install fast. But just for the purposes of planning, you need to think in your head 60 to 90 days, in my opinion. So lead time on fiber can be a little long. Customer service, what to expect. Spectrum has excellent customer service. I'm not saying they're perfect because no internet service provider anywhere in the world is. But from all the contracts and persons that I've worked on, I have to this day not had a single person come to me and say they had a horrible experience or say the technician that came out to do my install was horrible, or said my internet was down for a bunch of days or a bunch of hours or weeks. They tend to have excellent customer service. And from what I've heard, when problems do arise, they have very quick, very prompt, and very professional problem resolve. So let's see here. So in summary, to sum everything up before we end this video, pros of Spectrum Business: no contract month to month on all of their broadband services. Competitive pricing, very competitive. They tend to be lower than Comcast. They tend to be kind of sort of on par with Verizon. Definitely cheaper than companies like AT&T and Frontier and things like that. Very fast installation, especially for broadband installations. Their fiber installations, I wouldn't say are fast, but they're not slow either. They're typical with the industry. The only con that I could really come up with Spectrum was the thing about your whole monthly will go up on month 13 after 12 months. That's not really a price increase, though, if you think about it backwards, because all they're doing is they're giving you a break on their normal monthly price for the first 12 months as kind of a, welcome to our service, or we're going to throw you a bone, to onboard you, and thanks for doing business with Spectrum Business. Another con is fiber can have delays, but that's kind of the nature of the beast. But, in a perfect world, I wish fiber installs were much faster than 60 to 90 days. But I guess you could say it's a con. It is what it is. The only other con I could come up with for Spectrum Business is, if you're somebody who's watching this and you get with me and then you find out that you can't get Spectrum Business at your location easily, or what we call your site is not green. Typically, if your site comes back as green, it means that Spectrum can be installed and is verified, or that somebody else was in your office before you that had Spectrum, which means Spectrum can definitely be ran there if a previous person had it. You're green. If you're red, it means that Spectrum can't be installed there and there's no options there, like they just aren't available on the grid at all. If you fall into what we call code yellow with Spectrum, it means that service is possible, but it requires a survey and may have some cost to the customer. Sometimes that cost might be $500. Sometimes it might be $1,000. I've seen it sometimes as high as $20,000 to $30,000 and even $50,000. That's a con, obviously, because nobody wants to spend $50,000 to try to get broadband in an office that's only going to cost $60 a month or so. So anyways, that's our honest review of Spectrum Business for your internet needs for 2020. If you're watching this and you need internet, maybe you're sick of your current carrier, you're moving to a new office, you're opening up a new office, whatever reason it may be, I work with Spectrum Business and many, many other carriers day in, day out. If you just need somebody to help you figure out what's in your area and then take the burden off your plate of negotiating with them for the best prices, gathering up quotes for you and whatnot, call me. That's what I do. Prince Rich, Rich Technology Group. I'm your go-to guy for the best deals on business phone and internet service in the United States. I'll talk with you again in the next video.